And Coles in the main street, you walked in, there was the right-hand side, the middle, and the left-hand side. And the right-hand side, there were a whole lot of lollies, and you bought pennies worth or a bag or, and in the middle was the perfume and the cosmetics and all that sort of thing. And the left-hand side was clothing, and right down the back of the store there was clothing, and there was also the novelty section where you could buy balloons and blow things.
I got a Saturday morning job at Coles. We had to put the money on the slab, and you'd say 10 shillings out loud or whatever the note was, and then you would count your change out and put that back, and you'd give it to the customer, and then you'd wrap up their parcel, and you always called out whether it was 10 shillings, £1 or whatever, so somebody else heard, so the customer couldn't tell you, I gave you £1 but now I only gave you 10 bob.
Moran and Cato's. I think that was that was more getting into the grocery shop.
I can remember going into Moran and Cato's, and all the counters were round the side, and the floor I think was tiled. It smelled of food or bacon or good things like that. There'd be like bacon and that there, and something else there, and maybe flour and sugar and things there. The other thing was, you'd say you'd like a £1/2 or whatever it was, and they'd say, oh, we haven't got any today. And I can remember being with my auntie, and she'd say, well, what have you got under the counter? Special customers could get stuff because it was under the counter. If you're regular, you could do that.
You used to be able to go and buy a shilling's worth of broken biscuits, and sometimes they'd give you a dried apricot or something like this, all sorts. In those days it was quite different.
I worked with hustlers, went in to see if they were looking for anybody for display, and they said, yes, you can start. We were leading up to Christmas, and I suggested to the boss that we should open a magic cave, as I'd seen in the cities. So we set about doing this, and I suggested to the boss that they buy a considerable amount of inexpensive trinkets to make the thing operational. The queue that occurred once it opened went down the length of the shop, up the stairs, the length of the upstairs area to Father Christmas, and I think it operated for 2.5 days, and they had to close it because unfortunately they hadn't bought enough trinkets, and they were going to Coles and buying trinkets from Coles to keep the show operational, which of course didn't make any profit. So
then there was the Cave Garden Cafe, and my mum and dad had the Cave Garden Cafe for about 6 years. And I did work there for a while. My dad cooked all the meals. Dad had to do all the cooking himself. There's only one cook was there. Mum was his offsider. So you didn't have what you have today. You had steak and eggs, steak and onions, sausages and eggs, chops and eggs, mixed grill, fish, 3 or 4 different sorts of fish, soup and things like that. And with each meal you got 2 slices of bread, and you used to get 4 little rolls of butter and a cup of tea or coffee, all with your meal.
Well, Fidler and Webb was there.
The history of that should be written. And there was people that used to come in from Big Bull. They had this particular lady used to wait out the front, and she had a big Oldsmobile, and she'd toot the horn, and the people in Fidler and Webb would have to come out. They wouldn't go to car. I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and they'd bring it out. No, that. Holy bloody mackerel.
Had all sorts of areas. It had hardware and a lot of china and things like that had in, and then there was the grog part.
But on Christmas Eve we all went to Fidler's. They'd close the main street completely off, and everyone would go down and do their last minute shopping. So we would tramp up to Fidler's to get the kids an ice cream in a cone. That was for nothing.
Yeah, press pie shop, yeah. Mr. Pressburg started, he come to the school. He used to sell pies and pies at dinner time for the school kids. Had a reputation to put cats in the pies. Some silly bugger started that reputation, see?
where Barrymoney Ford is now across from the Federal Hotel, McGowan's used to be there. That was a grocery shop. And when we moved to Crouch Street, that's where Mum used to do her shopping because Woolworths wasn't there in those days.
I still remember Mr McGowan saying, caught someone stealing, and he made us stay, and while he called the police. And she said, I want to go to the toilet. He said, you stand there. He said, it was a pleasure to wipe the floor. As my mother used to frequently say, those days are gone but not forgotten. Yeah.